Hello guys, how's it going? ManTXD right here, and today we have a very special guest. He's standing right now, third on the ladder, Mr. Kerris himself. How you doing, Kerris?
I'm doing great. What are you, Monty?
I'm sick, but you know, the show must go on. That's how sick I am, dude. The show must go on. So, I'm very happy to have you here, and you are sharing with us a top 50 Skoya. And let me ask you a little bit about this deck. What makes this deck so dominant on the ladder?
What makes it so dominant? Well, it's the still same thing what was here in the beginning of the meta, right? It's basically that you can use very powerful Eastern Green and very powerful Saskia in round 1, and then you can beat your opponent very effectively with Dragoons round 2, right? And then you can just leave that card, which is buffed to like 20 strength, and can leave it for round 3, and you know that's kind of the tactic of it. And not to mention, you can get a sick card advantage too, right? So your opponent can have 1 card, you can have 3 cards for round 3, and that's unbeatable, right? So that's the basic point of this deck, I would say.
Okay, something that I have seen lately, people have been adding one MAHAKAM defender into the deck. Uh, why is that?
Well, it's kind of a special deck, but it's not necessary. Of course, it's not necessary, as well as the Sepper. Uh, it's sometimes it's very very powerful, especially like against Kerik, maybe Northrams, maybe even Monstrous. Not maybe no. Well, it's really bad against Cutthroat though. Sometimes, well, it's kind of hard to say. It's really hard to say without like good explanation, good example, right? But for example, when you win a round 1 against Kerik, and you are in round 2 and you're buffing that beautiful Mahakam, right? And it's 17 strength, then you are in a point when you have the last card, your opponent has the last card, and then you don't need to save your Mahakam, right? Why would you save your Mahakam when you can play it and it has Adrenaline Rush? So you play it, your opponent plays a Zigrifa, and he doesn't play Zigrifa in round 3, which he would play for 20 points, for example, right? And yeah, that's it. It can provide bleeding the opponent more than if he would save the card for round 3.
Okay, I see. Another card that I'm starting to see a comeback is definitely the BLATHANNA Archer, and only 2 of them. Is that why we have the Sapper as a third option?
2 of them is there. There is no really big reason for having 2 of them, but the the thing is that usually, not usually, but yeah, usually actually, you get into position when in run 1 you got 5 or maybe if you send even 8 units on a fog row, on a range row, right? And you don't want to be lacerated, you don't want to be fogged. So some people are trying to play like a Dwarven Skirmish instead, but they don't really work good with the KOB, right? So yeah, I mean, 3 archers are way too many. 1 archer is like not almost anything. So I put here 2 archers and a separate instead. It's basically you can like spread the units more into the different rows. That's what I wanted to say.
Oh, okay. Now, finally, there's another tech card that I can see right here, and that is CYPRIAN WILEY. Actually, I know what is here, but would you care to explain to our viewers why you have CYPRIAN WILEY here?
That's really awesome card. I actually didn't play it for some time, but then I added, and I need to say it's awesome. It can kill Banish, right? Which in Skethel matchup mirror, it can mean that he cannot use Milva round 2 for getting card advantage, and card advantage is insanely powerful sometimes, especially in Skethel mirror, right? The card advantage is exactly what usually will lose you or win you the game. So that's one thing, and the second is that against monsters, it's awesome because you can banish a necker, right? So and like I think key tactic against one of the tactics, like the key main points to destroy monsters or to win against them is to like get rid of neckers somehow, you know.
Yeah, it disrupts like the monsters extremely well, and it actually in a way kind of jams their deck.
Yeah, exactly.
What's a card that cannot be replaced here? Like definitely cannot. You cannot replace. You can name more than one, obviously.
Yeah, it's definitely glaze. And yeah, the mercs first light, it's like kind of obvious, but the glaze, I would say Milva. I mean, yeah, someone called Michael would disagree with me, but I think Milva is really necessary. I think Ethan Grimm and Saskia are replaceable, but they are really incredibly powerful. You need to be very careful with like replacing them. But you can replace one for Siri.
This is a question that I like to ask everybody who comes into the Gwent Grind, because sometimes people don't play the deck properly. What's a common mistake that you see somebody when playing this deck?
Oh, common mistake. All right. What is the common mistake? I'm thinking what I do most of the times. For example, Milva, right? You need to. It's kind of sometimes very hard to use her. Sometimes you can't use her, especially with Mahakam, right? You kind of right. I'm not playing like people are not playing Mahakam, only me usually. But when you got Mahakam, which is 20 strength, and you got Milva in your hand, and it's kind of not working together pretty well, right? So you need to play Milva first. But yeah, about Milva, it's kind of you try to save her. I think for round two, when for example, you start first
Uh-huh.
and you play the Milva instantly. You just want to get as much card advantage as possible. Of course, your opponent doesn't. You need to have a roach, not banished, and also your opponent can't have any unit on the board, right? So it will give you the card advantage. Yeah, and you can use it as well in round one for the same reason. If you start first, lose a coin flip.
Another thing that I have seen, another common mistake, I think that sometimes people overbuff one single unit. What's your rule of,
That's
what's your rule of the thumb on that?
Oh, of course, that's true. Sometimes it's not really when you lose a coin flip, for example, right? And you're in a round three. I need to like make these examples because it doesn't always work for the same
Of
same
course.
situation. So if you're in round three, right, and you got let's say 5 cards and 3 dragoons, and you don't have card advantage, well, you don't want to buff one card, right? If that's not a separate, buffing a separate is fine because they can really destroy it if they don't have more. And so you try to like spread the power around your units, so you cannot get scorched for 20 points, right? You will just get scorched by for 10 or something. So that's kind of a mistake what people do too. Yeah, they're just buffing one unit and then they get scorched for 20 instead of they could get for 10 or 12 because they didn't spread the strength.
Oh, okay. That's actually very, very good and awesome point. Another card that I see right here that might be of your doing will be a Dimeritum Shackles. Dimeritum Shackles. Why is that addition there?
Well, you don't need to. It's not like must to have card. You can play Thunder too, right? Instead of it, but Shackles, it's really excellent because people in Scarlet Mirror are starting to play Siri a lot, and you want to Shackle that Siri for sure. Or you want to Shackle Isengrim, right? It's Scarlet Mirror. Or if you are against monsters, Shackles will always has the use. Not the like you can Shackle Karen and then scorch it. That doesn't really happen much, but you can Shackle that and Necker, right? If your opponent like somehow found another Necker, which happens like every time, you have these Shackles which will provide you not him having any more Neckers. Hopefully, I mean he will have a third one, right?
Yeah.
But hopefully not.
Okay. Awesome. So thank you so much for sharing this deck, and let's take this deck to the ladder.